Hi guys. Today we're going to look at some real world math issues that come up occasionally. I found this math problem quite by accident, but it was very interesting, and I thought it would be good to create a lesson around it and let you all figure out what you think is happening here. So I'm going to show you this scenario and all of the things that are involved. And then at the end of this video, I want you to go back to the assignment page and I would like for you to answer some questions about it because I want to see how you take basic mathematical information and apply it to a real world problem. And this really has to do with consumer mathematics. In other words, consumers are people that use things or buy things. And I found some products and I want you to take a look at this and tell me what you think is happening. So we're going to get started. Believe it or not, the item that we're going to be talking about in this lesson is a toilet paper roll. Oh, my cat's coming in here. Hi, kitty, 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 kitty. So it's a toilet paper roll. And the interesting thing about this is, well, first of all, right now in this pandemic, we have a lot of stories in the news about people that are running out of toilet paper and there not being any toilet paper at the stores. And maybe you've seen this. I mean, I've gone to the store and seen the shelves are empty and it's kind of scary. I usually keep a lot of toilet paper at home and I live by myself, so I don't really worry about it too much. But I'm sure it can be a real scary thing for families that don't have much toilet paper and they go to the store and there's none available. So I hope that's not you guys. And I hope that now the stores have toilet paper for you and you're not having to worry about it. But anyway, this is just a toilet paper roll. I save it. I save them in case the art department needs them for projects. So what happened was my mother called me, okay? And she was concerned about running out of toilet paper. And she had plenty. She has 2 bathrooms and they were stocked. All the cabinets had toilet paper in them. But she was still concerned. But while she was going through her cabinets and replenishing the toilet paper on her roll, she used an old roll of toilet paper. Now, believe it or not, back in the late 1960s, 1970s, early 1980s, you could buy toilet paper in all kinds of colors. You could get blue, purple, peach, pink, yellow. Sometimes they were solid colors and sometimes they had prints on them like flowers and clouds, and baskets and rainbows and that kind of thing. So I don't have the actual toilet paper to show you. I wish I did because I think what she had was a toilet paper roll that had flowers all over it. But here is her tube. Now, when she was putting the toilet paper into the little toilet paper holder on her wall, she said it barely fit. And she's like, what's going on? Why does this toilet paper not fit? So the weeks went on and she used the toilet paper. And she called me. She said, I saved the toilet paper roll for you because it's interesting. And I said, what's interesting about it? It's just a toilet paper roll, right? Okay, that's kind of boring. And she said, what's interesting is, she said, I think it's a different size than current toilet paper rolls. Okay. So it is getting interesting now because we're going, what is the difference? So I went over to her house and she left this on the porch so I could pick it up. I got the toilet paper roll here. This is the old one. And this is the new one. And I compared the 2 of these. Hold on a second so you can see. Look at that. Look at the difference. The difference in the height of this. Okay? It's very different. It's significantly different. Okay? So already I'm thinking, what's going on here? What does this mean for the consumer? What does this mean for people that are buying toilet paper? Over the years, they've made the toilet paper roll shorter. Wow. Okay, so what's going on here? So I wasn't really too concerned about it, but I started thinking about the lateral surface area because that's what we were dealing with last week. And I thought, well, I should figure out the lateral surface area to cover the new roll of toilet paper one time around and see how much paper it would take, how many square inches of toilet paper it took. And then figure out the lateral surface area of the vintage roll, the old roll, and compare those two. Because I started thinking there must be a significant difference here. But there are a couple of things I need to know. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to the other view because I think it's going to be easier if I show it to you this way. So let me go over here. Okay, so here are my two rolls, A and B. And as you can see, there is a difference in height. Now I'm going to line these up against my ruler so you can see. Okay, I've lined them up against my ruler and you can see that there is indeed a difference in height, okay? Now, I wanted to see how much difference there was in the height, and then I got to thinking, I wonder if there is a difference in the diameter. I mean, they look pretty close. It looks like the diameter hasn't changed, okay? But just for experimentation, I decided to see if one could fit over the other one. And it can. The new roll fits over the old roll easily. Easily. That means the diameter of the new roll is bigger than the diameter of the old roll. Look at that. No trick photography here. That's just what it is. So it's the new one is shorter, and the new one is also has a larger diameter. It has a bigger middle part. Okay, so that was interesting. So I decided that one thing I could do is actually compare this and see what the difference is. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this, and I'm going to leave you with the measurements and have you come to some conclusions. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write A. That's my current toilet paper roll. I'm going to put 2020 in here. And B, that's my vintage roll of toilet paper. Vintage means older, or sometimes it means antique. I'm going to put 1985 here. Okay, so I'm going to take some measurements of both of these and compare them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to measure the height of this. And the height of this is 3 3/4 inches tall. Okay, so 3 3/4, 3 over 4. I can change that into a decimal because 3/4 equals 75% or 0.75. So the height is such a funny looking word. Height is 3.75 inches. See, I've used the two little marks, the two little apostrophes to show inches, not feet, inches. And then I decided I should probably look at the diameter. And the diameter of the new one is about 1 5/8. 1 5/8 of an inch. Now, the diameter, I'm going to write this down. 1 5/8. I would write it like this if I were going to write it as a fraction, 1 5/8. But I want to turn it into a decimal. And we've all done this in previous units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into a decimal. So what I'm going to do is, remember, anytime there's a fraction, it's really a division problem. So I'm going to say 5 divided by 8 equals 0.625. So it is 1.625 inches. Now, if I want to know what the actual radius is, I would have to take this and divide it by 2, because remember the radius is exactly half of the diameter. So I'm going to take 1.625 divided by 2, and I get 0.8125. Well, that's kind of a big number to worry with. I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth. Remember, the tenth is the first place to the right of the decimal. This is a 1, so I'm just going to round it to 0.8. So my radius is 0.8. Okay. Now, in order to find the surface area, what it would take, how much toilet paper it would take to cover this roll just one time around, I can use the formula for finding the surface area of a cylinder, because this is a cylinder, it's a tube or a cylinder, a spindle, and it is 2 pi r times the height. Okay, now 2 pi times the radius times the height. I'm not going to go through that right now. This is to find the lateral surface area. That is this formula right here. 2 pi r times h. H is height. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing and get the same measurements for my vintage toilet paper roll. This cylinder is, well, 4.5 inches tall, 4.5 inches high. So the height of this, 4.5, because 0.5 is the same as half, remember, so 4.5 inches tall. Now the diameter of this, what is the diameter of this? The diameter of this is right at 1.5. 1.5. So the diameter is 1.5 inches, which means the radius is simply 1.5 divided by 2, which is 0.75, which remember is 3/4, 0.75 inches. I can use this same formula that I used over here to find this lateral surface area here. So I'm going to write lateral surface area (2 pi r times the height). Okay, again, just like over here, A and B. Now here's what I want you to do. Go ahead, and if you want to write these numbers down, that's fine. Go ahead and do so, and you can just pause it and write these down so that you can see them. I've got a little bit of problem with light today. There's a little bit too much glare going on. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. In fact, I'll move it down just a tad so you can see it. There we go. If you want to pause and write this down, they could help you with your questions. I'm not asking you to do this. I'm not asking you to do the math. Okay? You can if you want to. Sure. That'd be great. It's super practice all the time. But what I am going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can find them on your assignment page. Because here's where we go. Here's where we're going with this. No manufacturer came out and said, hey, look, we're going to make these rolls shorter and fatter. Okay? They didn't say that. They didn't say it at all. So what I really want to know is which one of these rolls is going to take the most toilet paper on it, or if they're the same. Okay? What do you think? Is it going to be about the same amount of paper, or is one going to have more paper than the other one? Okay? And I would like to know also, why do you think manufacturers make these changes? Okay? Why do you think they do? I mean, do you think they make them to help the consumer? Do you think it's to help them make more money? Is it to help make fewer rolls of toilet paper or more rolls of toilet paper? And I'm going to ask you about 5 questions. So your assignment is, now that you've seen these two compared, is to answer the questions on the assignment page and tell me a little bit about what you think about the changes that have been made to toilet paper.